Golden Guardians have become that team to where it's like a car that refuses to die, right? Like we all have that friend who just treats their car like absolute shit. They never change the oil, like they haven't changed the tires in forever, like the wires on the tires are fucking showing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It's pretty trippy. But it refuses to die and it keeps fucking chugging along. Like I had a friend that didn't change the oil in his truck for, I want to say, like a year and a half. So he would just abuse the fuck out of his truck, and it had like 200,000 miles on it. It was just ridiculous. Just this little Nissan truck. And I actually used to abuse the shit out of my car, or at least my engine. Like I would go out racing and shit, rev it really high, etc. So there's always that car that just refuses to die, and that's what Golden Guardians is. So for the lineup, we have Licorice, Pride Stalker, Ablaze Olive, Lost, and Olay. So it should be noted that Golden Guardians still have the contracts for Stixay, Chime, and Iconic, the jungler, right? So even if this initial lineup doesn't work, which it doesn't look like it's going to be very strong anyways, let's not kid ourselves here, then at least they have a backup plan for like all the players, and maybe they could mix and match and try and create the best lineup possible. And I think it's probably going to be necessary throughout, this team's iteration, I guess, because the roster is just looking very weak on paper. So let's start from top to bottom. Licorice, top lane. I wasn't impressed by him last year. I didn't think he performed that well. I guess it's to no one's surprise. It's kind of unfortunate because, yeah, he did used to be like the best top laner in the entire league. And now he's like not even really middle of the pack. He's more below that. And I would say he is like basically the threshold to determine on whether you can actually maybe become a top tier top laner or not, which is not really saying a whole lot, right? Like he's like the golden glue of top lane at this point. He's just staying there pretty stagnant, and he isn't really a person that you can play through. He just makes it to where he can sometimes stabilize his lane and make sure that it's not a disaster. And then hopefully everything else plays around, that aspect, I guess, of it, that, at least you don't have to worry about him that much. But it should be said too that Golden Guardians themselves, it's just kind of a train wreck anyways. It hasn't been a very good org for a while. In fact, I would say their initial start to where they had like Haunter in there and whatnot, that was like pretty good. But since then, they haven't been doing much. And so I'm pretty disappointed overall with this entire lineup. I don't think it's great. They said, last year, or well, I guess it would be this year, right, that going into here, it would be a budget roster because, well, everyone says the pandemic and shit and blah, 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 and the funding and stuff and Golden State Warriors, whatever, everyone had to go through the same problems and they all still spent, some decent amount of money. But okay, maybe they don't have as much pull as they would like, even though that fucking press conference was held at the Golden State Warriors fucking stadium. But okay. Anyways. So, yeah, I'm just not impressed that they have stuck with Licorice. I would have liked to see someone else up in the top lane. Maybe even give a rookie a chance at some, or, better yet, jump the gun and get Jenkins instead, instead of letting him go to a rival team. So now we have Pride Stalker. Pride Stalker is coming from EU. Most notably, he was on the old Mouse Sports team, which, was in the ERLs. But then it was, he was in Schalke. He was in Schalke back in the day, right? And so that's really the only time we ever had heard of his name. His name has been heard and echoed throughout EU and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure everybody somewhat knows this guy's name. So I'm not surprised to see that he's coming over to North America, but then again, it's like, So you're taking a gamble on this guy who has basically been playing over in like ERL status for quite a while now. So it's not like he's going to bring anything that's going to surprise people, or it's going to be something new or whatnot. So this is clearly another budget move, and the fact that they hope he's just this hidden gem, and they were looking at EU anyways, and it's like they were making an EU move just for the sake of making an EU move. Essentially, that's what it looks like to me on paper. So, but to be fair, I really haven't seen this guy play. So, I mean, I guess we'll leave it up to interpretation, right? I think back in the day too, he was on like Giants, I want to say. So this guy is like an old school player, which makes it even a little bit more puzzling as to why you would bring this guy in here. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that he is an aggro jungler too, so he should bring some aggression to the lineup, hopefully. We'll see. Moving to mid lane, it's a Blaze Olive. I'm not sure how long you're going to wait until this guy just pops off. I mean, he's really not been that aggressive, or he's not been that great of a mid laner as far as, you know, just pure laning, team fighting, any of that. Like, he really just hasn't impressed me overall throughout his entire career in the LCS so far. Now, that's not to say that there isn't room to grow and that he can kind of reinvent himself this year. And also, too, it really doesn't help that you don't have the strongest pieces around you. But then again, you are playing mid lane, right? So the strongest role in the game. So if anyone can carry it, probably should be you. So I would like to see him step it up this year and actually be maybe a little bit more aggressive, maybe take some more gambles and whatnot, because you're clearly going to have to take gambles with a type of roster like this, because no one else is really going to do it. So yeah, that's what I want to see from Blaze Olive. I want to see him be more aggressive, and so hopefully he will do that, and hopefully he'll show some significant improvement so that people will actually, you know, continue to, I guess, put him on rosters going into 2023, right? We have Lost over in the bot lane. I actually don't hate this move. I think Lost is a pretty good ADC. In fact, I think he's pretty decent. And I thought one of the big heavy reasons as to why he didn't look that great on TSM was because Sword Art was just pretty dog shit. So it's no surprise that the ADC, which is attached to the fucking hip, is also going to look bad. So I really don't hold too much of his time on TSM against him and him alone. It heavily has to do with his support as well too, and just the entire team surrounding him. So I think this is a fine move. I think this is a fine gamble. In fact, I think it's probably the best part of what Golden Guardians did. In terms of their moves, I think it actually makes a lot of sense to be able to grab Lost while he's on the downtrend, and I guess see that he has the potential, you know, to play at a top tier. It's just the circumstances within TSM weren't favorable. So I actually like this idea to pick up Lost. And then when we're talking about Olay now as support, this is a weird like blast from the past, right? Like, I didn't even know Olay was still over here. You know, like it's very, very weird. But I do know that he was playing solo queue, and so he probably still has kept up, you know, some part of his skill. But I feel like the biggest part of what Olay had been missing was like the mental aspect. Just like, dude, he was like one of the first players. He was the only player to bench himself. Oh, wait, no. There was also Reckless, too. But, oh, well, maybe there's a commonality in those fucking mentalities, huh? So, anyways, it seems like Golden Guardians was just reaching into, like, the free agency dumpster fire and just like, okay, well, let's see what we could, like, kind of fit together. Like this half chewed corn on the cob still has some kernels on there. So we'll grab that. And oh, this meat isn't too rancid. That'll be my main course. And then here's some stale bread that this bakery threw out 5 days ago. Like, okay, great. I have my meal. So I'm really I'm not excited about this roster. I think at tops, this roster has the potential to be 7th, which is saying a lot given that there are a lot of budget rosters this year. And then you have a super team and then a run it back team. So yeah, I think this is just it should be a learning development time. But you don't really have anyone that you're trying to develop. Pride Stalker has been playing in ERLs forever. Licorice has been playing forever. You have Lost that has had pretty adequate time now, and Olay that has had plenty of time. So, like, really, you're only developing the mid laner, and you're surrounding him with this great dumpster meal. So, I don't know. I don't think that this team is going to do anything this year. I think the cap for them is 7th place. And so, yeah, I guess we'll just, I don't know, see how it goes, see how they shuffle the rest of their roster too. Maybe, you know, they do what every team does that doesn't really have a great lineup and is starting to fail. And they have the back pieces. They start just mix and matching just to see what works and what doesn't without any methodology. So I bet we're probably going to see that. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited that it's probably just not going to work anyways.